You're tuned in to Just One Hot Mom with host Nanika Ansari. Get ready. She's about to bring you that fire, that flavor, that heat, all that passion, and more from around the world and in your neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Hey, howdies, you are tuned into Just One Hot Mom, and I am your host, Nanika Ansari, and it is gorgeous outside. It's nice and cool. It's a nice, like, take a long walk type of day. If you've been following my social media, you know that's like my new thing, taking a long walk in random places. Today, I am super excited, though. In the studio with me, I have Karla Kennedy of Karla's Journey. Hey, Karla.
Hey.
How are you today?
I'm good.
We both were complaining because traffic was crazy getting here today, but God willing and the creek don't rise, you know, it'll die down by the time we go home. Yeah. If you guys want to call in, the number is 440-252-0518, 440-252-0518. And so I met Karla at an event for Karla's Journey, and it was called "I'm Not the Only One with Mommy Issues." First of all, let me tell you, with the event name threw me off a little bit. I didn't read the description at first. I had to go back, and I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be other mothers there, and we're gonna be talking about all our parenting issues." So I'm like, I'm ready. I got a list. These kids is driving me crazy. But then it was really about dealing with us as adult women, dealing with the issues from our background with our mom. And so I was like, wow, that's a deep conversation. I didn't even realize I had some mommy issues until we got there and we started to open up. And so I want to, Karla, tell us who you are and why you started Karla's Journey.
Okay, so I am Karla Kennedy. I started Karla's Journey because I experienced a lot of trauma and traumatic issues throughout my life. I had been raped. I had been through a lot, and throughout my life in bits and pieces, I would share my transparency, and I would see that my transparency was able to help people at different times, and my strength was able to help people. And then God just gave me the vision of, originally I had started a weight loss journey, and I had lost a whole lot of weight, and so many people were inspired to start losing weight because of that. And then I was like, okay, Karla's Journey, where I use my journey to inspire other people. And at first I thought it was just weight loss, but no, God told me, no, it's your life, the transparency of your life. So Karla's Journey is actually me using my transparency to help bring healing to the lives of others.
And I'm all about transparency. I appreciate when people can be open and honest about what's going on in their lives, because people need to see that. Like, I think like on their own journeys, people get scared and afraid to say what's going on. And so then you get stuck in situations you don't have to be stuck in, because there's somebody in there encouraging you.
And we're always wearing a mask. I think we have to put on this role that we're strong, that we're strong, we're good, we got it, and we always wear this mask, and we never just take the time to say, hey, no, I'm not okay.
And I think that's something that we learn from our mother, since most of your journey, like especially this portion, was about, your journey with how your mom treated you. And so I want to know, like, when you look back on the relationship that you had with your mother, did you remember a lot of joyous times, or did the bad times did they overshadow those times? Like, do you remember at one point she was a really dope mom, and then something triggered the change, or was it like, no?
I'm always mindful of how I speak about others, because I want to tell my story without...
I appreciate that.
I always want to tell my story without, downing others or saying anything negative about someone else. So I want to say that my mother was a financial provider. I remember her being a financial provider. I remember her cooking. She would cook me breakfast in the morning before I went to school, and I would have breakfast at school too. She always fed me. So that's for sure. She was definitely a financial provider, but she wasn't... I needed emotional support.
Now, was your mom a single mom?
She wasn't a single mom. So I was raised by my dad, and my dad went to jail. So my dad was in the household up until the age of 11.
Okay. Because I'm always wondering, because I know, like, as single moms, like, I have to work, I have to go to work, my job is to provide for you. Like, that's what we think about. And we don't necessarily think about all the other stuff. Like, there's emotional, there's physical. There's just certain things that you're supposed to do. So that's why I was asking that question, because in the mind frame of like, you know, single moms, I think sometimes we let other stuff overshadow. We just think financially.
Yeah, and then even though sometimes you can be in a 2-parent household and still have a single mom.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole
So I would kind of say that I probably was in a 2-parent household with a single mom, but she just, my mother and her personality, she's not a very emotional individual. She's not she's a financial person. So if she have a way that she can help you financially, then she will do so. But I probably heard I love you from my mom maybe 5 or 6 times in my life.
And see, I think like, especially being a young lady, like you kind of need to know that because your mom's guiding you towards what type of woman you plan to be. And you know, like your dad shows you certain things. We always hear that side, but we rarely hear that our mom is framing us to be the type of woman. Like you're supposed to be a woman after your mom's own heart. So.
And she teaches you your worth. She teaches you your esteem. She teaches you, you know, why you should love yourself. Hey, you're lovable. Look yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself you're good enough. Like you learn those things at a very you learn those things from your mom, and when you don't learn them at an important age, you grow up thinking that or sometimes her actions towards you can make you feel like you're not worthy or you're not good enough.
Oh, so speaking of that, like, how did this impact you during your teenage years? Because I mean, like, you know, during that time when the girl hits puberty and stuff like that, that's when you really need for somebody to tell you, like, hey, you still got it going on, pimples and all. Like, how did that impact your teenage journey?
I was suicidal most of my teenage years. I actually have an arm full of scars. I used to self-mutilate. I would overdose with pills. So most of my teenage years, I was very suicidal. So I hated myself. I just wanted out. And the reason behind that is between the ages of 7 through 11, like I stated, I was raped by my biological father. But there were I was raped by someone else, and then molestation by other people. So there was so much going on, and my mother did not believe me. And she was very boisterous about her disbelief. And so by the age of 12, I had a father who raped me, I had other people touching me, and I had a mother who did not believe me. So if the 2 people who brought me in this world were not there to care for me, if they did not protect me, if they did not do all the things that I felt like a mother and a father should do for a daughter, then why was I here? So I think at a very early age, I developed, like, I used to say, I used to wonder why didn't my mother have an abortion, or why wasn't she there? So throughout most of my teen years, I spent like a decade of my life being suicidal. So throughout most of my teen years, I was trying to get out of here. And literally.
And see, I was like, we don't think about that. We don't realize how fragile a psyche a teenage girl has. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, between boys, other mean girls, other nice girls, and then, like, school and your family life, just having a social life and then your family life. If nothing is stable, then that causes you, like, you know, you start to collapse. So when did the rebuilding process start for you?
Probably in my mid-20s. Probably in my mid-20s, I started going to church. I wanted to, because throughout my teenage years, I think around 16, I stopped believing in God. Because I was just like, hey, like, you forgot about me. So I kind of just was like, I'm done. But I think I got to a place in my life, maybe in my early to mid-20s, where I was just like, either you're going to die or you're going to live. You're going to shoot or you're going to dribble. You have to figure this out, because you can't keep... You know, you can't keep going back and forth. You can't keep wavering. And I just started taking small steps to just try to find my way. And it happened over, you know, a period of time. Everything didn't just happen at one time. I'm still in a growth period, but I'm way better than I was, you know, and we'll be growing until we move on from life. But probably in my I want to say around 25, 26, I started was like, no, you got to live.
And see, I'm so happy you did this. And see, I want to go back though to something you said earlier. So you said like your mom didn't believe you, and my sister and I were having this conversation. It was like, why is it so hard for us to believe in our homes that there could be a demon present? Like, why do you feel like she may have not wanted to believe you, or was she just so focused on being a provider that it was hard for her to believe that anything else was going on in the home?
So in my story personally, I believe my mother did not believe me because she had a mother who didn't believe her. And I can't confirm that, but I know that it comes from something of her generation. She grew up in a home where, like, my mother had her first child at 16. So where did that, and I'm not saying my mother was promiscuous. I don't want my family to see this and be like, oh, she's talking about, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is there were things that were present in my mother's life at a very young age that went unnoticed or something. And that caused her.
Generational. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like and that it definitely was. It was definitely generational. And I think that is what aids me in forgiving both of my parents, because I realized that they were a part of a generational curse that they did not have the strength to break.
And see, but they should be very proud of you. Your family should be very proud of the steps that you have taken to come up out of that. You know what I'm saying? It only takes one generation of the family to go ahead and change it. And so they should be very proud, because by you telling your story, there's some other woman out there that was like, I might need to go back and have a conversation. There's some woman out there having a hard time with her mother right now because of some issues that happened, and they need to have a conversation. And so I just remember sitting there in your group session and thinking like, you never know what happens in your life that triggers you, and this is why you go in a certain direction. And so you started having these group sessions, and how did they first go? Were people open to like saying, I'm gonna tell my mother, because your mother is you don't tell on your mama.
Well, I think especially for the group that you attended, I'm not the only one with mommy issues. I think the way that we opened it up, like the way that we started with an icebreaker, and then Stacey Hubbard, who is a mental health counselor who was there, she started with the cup, and then she had you write on a sheet of paper like, what's the moment you remember that caused you the most pain with your mom, and then on the opposite side you write all of the feelings from that moment. Had she not told you, like, she didn't tell you what you were doing before, so you didn't even realize, like, your mom caused all these emotions in you. So then when you put that in your cup, you like, my mama made me full of fear. I ain't got no trust, So I think it was just a method in which we did things at that meeting. And then not only that, but Karla's journey and all of the events that we do, like, my goal is I want it to be a place of transparency, a place of safety. So I want you to feel safe to be able to talk about whatever you're going through. And I definitely believe that we set that environment. So even afterwards, when it was over, there were still people lingering and communicating because they were able to express, how they were feeling. So I think it's just a matter of how you present things to people.
And see, I like that, because I think after I attended your session, I went back and I told some other people, and then it was like, people were like, I have mommy issues too. Like, like some of us don't realize that, especially I think for a woman, like you don't realize your mommy issues until somebody else brings up like, my mama did that too. And, so my sister and I started exploring with our own mother, and it helped me to be honest with her. Like, okay, you're kind of passive aggressive. My mom's watching, so she knows.
Okay.
That, she's kind of passive aggressive. And when, I had to explain to her in, detail, like, well, when you did this, like, it made me feel this way. And so I think that attending that session really opened up some conversations to make me even come. And I'm extremely comfortable all the time. But I was like, oh my God, I got these mommy issues. I took my little cup and went home and was like, girl, we need to explore these, Christine. Like, what's going on? And so I was so excited. That's why I wanted to have you here today, because you have a program coming up tomorrow.
I do. I have an event coming up tomorrow.
So, and it's still, you're not the only one series, but you're not the only one that didn't know.
Who doesn't know? I'm not the only one who doesn't know.
Okay, so explain to us about that. Okay. I'm excited.
So I'm not the only one who doesn't know. That is tomorrow. And what it's about, so Karla's journey is about my journey throughout life and my transparency. So a lot of the groups that we have are things that I've been through, and I share my transparency at the group, but I'm not the only one who doesn't know. It's about women. Well, typically anyone can come, but it's about women who didn't know, who did not have a mother or someone who taught them the basics. I'm talking hygiene, I'm talking sex, I'm talking how to do your hair. You shouldn't go out the house like this. If you wear this type of dress, you should have on silk panties. You wear this type of dress, you put on a thong. Like, it's just certain things that we did not learn as individuals. And now as women, we mask it, and we're dealing with issues, or even sometimes we'll be like, oh, she had a stench, or her hair is this, or her hair is that. But the truth is she don't know, because she didn't have anybody to teach her. And she's afraid to talk about it now, because as a woman, I got to be strong, and I got to know how to take care of my hygiene.
I got to put on this fake,
Right. I got to know how to do my hair. I got to be fly. I can't have an odor. But the truth is, we have these things because we simply did not have anybody to teach us. And for me, I struggle with a lot, especially hygiene. I spent most of my childhood, like I said, being raped or molested. My mother was a financial provider, but she didn't teach me the basics. So I grew up in life, and there are some things that I still struggle with to this day, not as much as I did before, but there are some things that I still struggle with because I simply did not know. So tomorrow will be a group panel discussion. So I'll have a personal trainer who's also a RN. She has her BSN, and she will talk about like just healthy stuff, health. A lot of people don't know what to eat. I want to lose weight, but I don't know how to eat right. Then I have someone else who's the owner of a salon, so she'll talk about skincare and how to, basic hairstyles and things of that nature. And then I have two very wise women who will talk about cleanliness of yourself, cleanliness of your house, how to properly clean yourself, some, things that you can do. And then also, at every event, I try to give out something to help empower you with whatever you're doing. So at the last event, I gave out the cups with the rocks.
And the rock. I still have my cup. My cup says, I'm having the best day ever. And my rock says passion. And that rock is in my purse right now. Because you know what? Whenever I think about it, or if I'm digging through my purse and I look at the bottom and I see that passion, like, okay, it's just a reminder of, one, that event. But, okay, I'm living my passion. So I appreciate it. Thank you. I was so grateful. I was like, I don't know which rock to pick. So I just closed my eyes and I picked one off the table, and I was like,
it worked.
And I was like, I'm gonna take the last cup, like whatever cup is left, that cup is gonna be meant for me. And so I appreciate those tokens that show me like, okay, no matter what type of day you're having, you can have a good
affirmation.
day. So I was so excited. Her gifts were amazing.
So at every event, I do a gift. And at this event, because I'm talking about hygiene, because I'm talking about I'm not the only one who doesn't know, I'll actually have hygiene items for people because I don't want to empower you, but then not give you the tools that you need, because who am I to assume that you're able to afford them?
I'm so glad that you're having an event like that, because oftentimes people don't know and they're afraid to ask, because people assume that you should know all these things. Like you should know how to do your hair. You should know how to wash it, or you should know that when it's your time of the month that you're supposed to do all these things. And some people don't know, and I think I say all the time that our generation now, I think like we've kind of failed the next generation because we put this mirror image like you're supposed to look good for social media,
but nobody shows you or tells you how to go about
and so you
good.
Go put on these lashes and these nails and these hair, but underneath all of that nothing's being taken care of. So you don't know how to take care of your skin. People, we could say it all the time, melon is popping, but if you don't take care of that melon, it will not be popping at the end of the day. And so I appreciate you taking the steps and having something offer like that people can come to and feel comfortable and have those conversations, like explaining the difference between, sorry fellas, but a tampon and a pad. You know what I'm saying? So because people don't know, they'll never use one because nobody's ever explained to them,
or taught them
what they're supposed to do next. So after that class, though, what are you doing next? Look, I'm nosy now. Like, okay, so you're not the only one that didn't know. Then we talked about our mommy issues. I'm about to get all my issues resolved. Okay. Have you started to think about what you're going to do next? Because I know this is the end of this series, right?
This is. So, well, for now. So, when God originally gave me the events for Karla's Journey this year, he told me do 3 I'm Not the Only One events. And then I actually wrote a book, and it's called # I Survived, and it tells my story. So, I will actually do a women's conference, and at the women's conference, I will release that book. So that is going to be the next thing. So I'm taking like a 2-month break, and then in September or October, I tried to get out of it. I was like, you know what? I ain't even got to do the conference. I did the 3 things. I'm good. It's okay. I tried to get out of it, but God has really laid it on my heart. So in September or October, I will be doing a conference.
Okay, and we'll be announcing it on here. I'm like, I'm about to go to Karla's event, y'all. She's having a... I just think that it's awesome and amazing to think of other women in that way, to want to empower them and inspire them, because you know what, some people who have been on your journey wouldn't have done that. You know what I'm saying? They would have just stayed depressed. They would have stayed down about it, but you've taken this and you turned it around and you've allowed it to empower yourself and empower others. And so I'm like, yes, I'm not the only one. And I just thought that was such a dope concept. Like, you're not the only one with all these things going on.
And that's what God had given me. Like, I'm not the only one. And I think a lot of times in my life, I would feel like I'm not the, I would feel like I was the only one. Like, I'm the only one who been raped. I'm the only one who mama didn't believe me. And then, like, a lot of people were raped by probably, like, a friend of the family or something like that. But your biological father, like, that's a whole different story, you know? So I just always felt like I was the only one. And I was like, through my journey, I can let people know that they're not the only one. So.
And see, I'm glad that you brought up religion, because I want to go back to what you said, like, you had given up on God and stuff like that until you came to develop your relationship again. And so I wanted to ask you, because people often say, like, God won't give you more than you can bear. I'm sure we hear that all too often. And so at an 11-year-old, you know, who's being raped by your parent, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, can you speak into those people who are like, why do I have to bear this at 11 years old? Like, tell them, like, how did you bear that at 11 years old? And when you finally came to a conclusion, like, you know, I have to move on in this journey, how did you bear that?
I think for me, now, at this stage of my life, I had to, once I got to know God, I understood that my rape wasn't his will, it was man's appetite. And what happened was I was surrounded by a sick individual who infected me by their sickness. And that wasn't God's will. But it's what I was, it was the household that I was in. So it was kind of, and then understanding my father's experience, he grew up in a household full of incest. And he was raped by more people than me, you know? So it's just like, once you fully, sometimes you never really understand things when you're in them. You always, like, hindsight is better than foresight, and people say that all the time. But I think for me, just understanding that, even though I didn't feel like, because when I was like 16, when we was in church when we were little, I would always hear the song, Jesus Loved the Little Children. And I would be like, well, I was a little child. You didn't love me. You know, you forgot about me. What happened? I went through all of this. But I think I understood that he kept me. And
okay, now Karla about to take us to church. Take us to church, Karla.
Well, I think I just understood that he kept me, and I had to find a blessing in that keeping, because I know there are a lot of people who've been through some of the things that I've been through, and it took them out, or they became, I remember one time I had to literally inhale crack before being raped, and I could have became a crack addict, or, you know, a drug addict, or anything of that nature. So I had to realize, like, I had to see that things did happen to me, but I'm so much stronger than I give myself credit for. And then not only that, but I'm a very resilient individual, and that's only by the grace of God.
And see, that's what I really wanted us to get to the core of, is like, you know what, we question God, and he understands that. And so it's not until you have an intimate relationship with him can you understand that he understands what you're going through. He understands that you're going to question him. And so, because I think some people think, like, well, you can't question God, but you can.
You can't.
Like,
I feel like a real, like, if you're no real Christian has not questioned God, is what I truly feel like. And I mean, you know, you don't say, hey, God, you don't exist because of this, but I think, like, when you have a deep relationship with God and you're his vessel and he put you through things, you will say, why God?
But that's anytime, like, you know, like, I tell people, like, me and God, we have a father-daughter relationship. So I talk to him like he's my father, like, daddy, what's going on?
Like, hey, you ain't see that? So I know you could have blocked that if you wanted to. So what's going on?
But I always say, like, there's passion in the purpose and in the pain. And so there's a lesson that's going to come out of this. And, you know, always giving victory and honor to God, to be like, okay, Lord, like, I know there's a reason why this is happening to me right now. Because I was telling, my whole, like, 2-year journey was to be uncomfortable. And I was like, well, let me stop saying that, because God's going to make me real uncomfortable. But then I was like, you know what? Whatever he makes me uncomfortable in, he's going to prepare me for in the next journey. So I'm really excited that, you know, not that your uncomfortableness is rare, but that you came through the journey and that you're able to show other people that you can make it through, that you can push it through. So do you ever get some people that are like, Karla, come on now, you know, you and your religion and faith, is it really that real? I can tell it's really real.
Not really. I actually have people who say, like, I can tell that God is on you. I can tell that God is in you because of your forgiveness. I was talking to a member of my family not too long ago, and she was like, I don't even know how you communicate with your father. And she was just like, I know that that's God, you know. But I more so, I don't get people who question my relationship with him, but more so people who be like, hey, I can tell you're a strong woman of faith.
Well, I'm just wondering, because, you know, people are always, you know, it's always that sarcastic, narcissistic person out there who's like, she really ain't getting over it. But I'm like, God will have you understanding things that, you know, like, the average man cannot understand.
Yeah, and then not only that, so there is, like, it's not that I went through these things. I've forgiven the people who've harmed me, you know, as much as I can at this moment in my life. And it's not a matter like, oh, she's just finally over everything. But there's residue from some of the things, from some of the issues that happened that I still deal with, but I deal with them differently. And I'm more mature now. So I'm able to say this happened and it produced certain thoughts. And like, in transparency, I suffer from PTSD. So I I have flashbacks. I have a very vivid memory. Like I remember everything. So I can walk into a room and I can see a vent, and that vent can remind me of something I was looking at when I was being raped or something of that nature. So it's still, it's not completely gone, but I deal with it completely differently.
But I'm glad you said that, because then that means that you've had some type of therapy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'll
be in therapy for the rest of my life, okay?
I need you to give the good people a word about therapy, because I think so, especially us as Black women, we have that superwoman syndrome. Like, I can handle it. I don't need nobody.
I ain't telling nobody my business.
And I'll be like, I go to therapy and I'm like, I'm about to tell you all of it. Like, let me lay it on the table. I'm like, then Sherry, can you do something with what I just laid out on the table? Like, I call my therapist by her first name. Like, Sherry, deal with this for me. Because I think once I learned that therapy wasn't something that said you were crazy. We were brought up and people were like, if you go to therapy, you get that side eye look from our families. And so what made you feel like therapy was okay? Like, what was the breaking point? It was like, I'm going to therapy, forget what y'all saying.
Well, it started when I was young. After my father went to jail, the system had put me in therapy. So I was in and out of foster homes and in Palmdale, different places. And they always, like, throughout my teenager, they had me in therapy. Cleveland Rape Crisis Center, Beachbrook. Like, I was just in and out of therapy. And when I got 18, I said, I will never see another therapist in my life. Because I was just like, no. So then in 2016, I believe it was March of 2016, so about 2 years ago, I was like, you need therapy. I was at a very depressive state. So I sought out a therapist. And I went there and I was just like, yeah, this ain't working. So I was there for about 6 months, and then I was like, nope, I quit. And I have like a attachment disorder, so to speak. So when I cut you off and I'm done.
So believe that, it really, I would be like, I'm done talking to you.
Yeah, and honey, you good as dead. No, I'm just playing. Hey, that's not good, you guys. But yeah, so after that, I was just like, I did not want to.
It's okay. Go ahead.
After that, I was just like, I wasn't going back to therapy because it's hard for me to open up to people. So then I found another therapist in November of 2016, and it was God gifts to me. And I've been with her for 1.5 years, and she has helped me through a lot of things, and I have been able to share a lot with her, and it's been a rocky path because it's not easy for me to open up, and I've been through a lot of trauma, so it's not always easy for a therapist to get in and, deal with people
to get that up off your chest.
Yeah, so it hasn't been an easy road, but she has definitely been very well for me. And sometimes when I go in there, she's able to identify like, hey, this is going on. Let's work through this. So therapy has helped me grow a lot. I definitely believe you have to find a therapist that you connect well with. Connection is everything, because everybody isn't for everybody. So you have to understand what your needs are, and then find a therapist who specializes in being able to help someone with the needs that you have. But once you are very open, once you are very authentic, once you are pure and you see their heart and their genuineness for you, it's like a confidant. It's like a person, you're not supposed to develop, like, you're not supposed to get close to your therapist or anything.
I ain't supposed to be calling Sherry by her first name.
Right. Well, I call my therapist by her first name too, but you're not supposed to, there's that ethical relationship. But when you're telling someone, your deepest, darkest secrets, and you're confiding in them, and they're being there for you, and they're comforting you, and you see they're genuine, it's like any human's going to develop a relationship.
And I mean, that's the type of relationship you want with your therapist.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking like Sherry, like sister girl, but I'm like, I have to be able to trust you, because I'm about to tell you all my business. I'm about to lay it out there on the table. You're going to know some stuff.
And then I got to trust, if you see me in a grocery store, I don't feel like my diary just opened in front of everybody, or if I see you come to my church, like, why is you here? That's my diary. You're supposed to be in a vault somewhere, You're
not supposed to. You don't exist outside of this room, outside of this space. We don't know each other. But I am going to ask her. I'm about to get Robin her homework or something. She's going to be mad at me. But can you, in the comments, when you get a second, drop, like, what are, like, maybe 3 or 4 things to look for in a good therapist? Because I think, like, I listened to the Therapy is for Black Girls podcast, so you guys go check her out. And she gave, like, a list of different stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I could look for that. But they were I need to know what to look for, because I'm like, when I found Sherry, I just ended up on her doorstep, and I was like, look, I've got a few issues I think I need to discuss. Are you going to be open to this conversation, and can I eat my dinner in here? And she's like, yes. I'm like, all right, Sherry, we cool. I can eat my food and discuss my problems with you. I'm cool.
I think it depends a lot on what you're dealing with too, though, because there are different therapists who specialize in different things. And I think depending on what you're dealing with, because I've been with my therapist for a while, but in session lately, she was like, hey, you think you need trauma-based therapy? You know, so it's, you know, there's
it's good that she can point that thing out to you.
Right. Or just willing to say, hey, like, let's have a conversation and see if I'm effective enough, you know? So I think you definitely just got to understand what you need from therapy and then find someone who's able to meet that need.
All right, hotties, I'm on with Karla Kennedy of Karla's Journey. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to dive deeper into this conversation about therapy and how Karla is helping in her community. So stay tuned.
Definitely.
Hey, hotties, welcome back. You are tuned into Just One Hot Mom. I'm your host, Nanika Ansari, and we are here with Karla Kennedy of Karla's Journey. And if you are tuning in, we are talking about our mommy issues. We all got them. Let's just embrace them. And so before we went to break, you know, I gave Robin a homework assignment about telling us what to look for in the therapist, but she said it's going to take some time. So y'all can go over to justonehotmom.com, and I'll be writing a blog post about it after I pick her brain to figure out what we need to find a therapist. But during the break we talked about it really is your individual stuff. Like for me, I'm really a big vibe person. If I don't feel like a genuine vibe with you, then I'm like like I don't want to tell or release my secrets to you. Like you're not making me feel welcome. And so I was like, I went to 2 therapists. And my first one, I was like, I didn't feel her. I just didn't feel her at all. I was like, I felt like you were judging me. Give me somebody else who feels less judgy. And then I can release my secrets. And so I'm happy that you brought up the thing about therapy, because I think that's where people get stuck, is that I'm going to open up to this person and they're going to judge me. But you can find a therapist who makes you feel welcome, who makes you feel like you can lift that burden up off you. Like I told you, I just go to Sherry and be like, here, I wrote all these journal posts about what I was going through when I didn't see you. So now let's work through this. And she's like, okay, girl, sit down and let's get through it. And so I want to talk to you next about there are a lot of women walking around with mommy issues. Like I told you when I came, I was like, I didn't even realize that's what the topic was going to be. And I didn't realize I had mommy issues. How do you think we go about making people feel okay with revealing, like, you may not have the best relationship with your mom, and that's okay? Because I think it's really a guilt thing. Like, your mom is the person that gave birth to you, or she gave you life, or she's taking care of you. And yet, for you to say you have issues with her, you know, it can be considered disrespectful in some aspects. So how are you embracing people and making them feel more comfortable to reveal those issues?
When you were talking, the first thing I thought about is, like, there's this, I want to say, like, expectation that, you know, all mother-daughter relationships should be great. You should have a great mother-daughter relationship. But expectations aren't always reality. So I think that the first thing is that we have to walk in our reality. So my reality may be I didn't have a great mom. I didn't have a mom who was loving, and I didn't have a mom who was nurturing. And then we watch movies and we see things in society that teaches us a mother is supposed to be this way, that way. You know, a mother is supposed to take care of her child, do whatever she has to do. But the reality is that all mothers aren't that way. And I think we just have to accept our truth. And once you can accept your truth, it's easier to release your truth and to begin to heal from it, because you can't heal from that which you won't release or reveal.
Oh, I like that. You cannot heal from what you will not release and reveal. And I think a lot of times that's where we get caught up, is that we don't want to admit that we have an issue, because admitting is the first step to any problem. We all know that, like, mommy issues can be an addiction. And if you admit it, that means that you're taking the first step. You're saying, okay, I have a problem. Now, for those women, though, who have mommy issues and stuff, what would you say? Because, like, I think last week when Benny and Mo were on here, we were just talking about issues and how you have to create a safe place, and her husband created a safe place for her. What can you say about to a man that's dating a woman with mommy issues? Because, you know, sometimes that reflects over into your relationship. Like, you treat him like your child because, you know what I'm saying, you're trying to be a good mother, you're trying to provide and stuff like that. So sometimes we take those mommy issues and we reverse them and we try to raise somebody else's child, and they should have been raised already.
I think if you're a man and you're dating a woman who has mother issues, I think the first step is patience. The first step is patience. But I think you definitely have to mentally understand her. And sometimes once you mentally understand someone, you're able to be more patient with them, because you're able to understand, like, or you're able to identify. I know I was dating someone, and she
had to laugh at that.
And they were a social worker, so they were a counselor, and don't date counselors. No, I'm just playing. But whenever I would do something, he would identify like, that's your attachment disorder. So this isn't you.
That would drive me crazy. That would we out having a nice time at a movie talking about. Sir, you just go get my popcorn and my juju bees. You done ruined the whole date.
Or just identify like when something arises, like, hey, this is that, and you're feeling this way because of why. And I'm like, hey, you're not my therapist. And
I need to be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like in a relationship, I just need you to like maybe give me a hug. Like I don't need for you to be diagnosed.
Right. So patience is definitely something. When you recognize things, definitely be patient. And then at the end of the day, when a woman's saying something, there's something that she wants, and 9 times out of 10 it's probably just intimacy or affirmation, or words of there's something that she wants, so it's something you probably could hug or talk her through,
Yeah, instead of diagnose. Girl, I can't believe that you dated and he diagnosed your whole thing. Did he charge you? I need to
listen.
Was he trying to get a check? And so, I'm sorry. Y'all know I have issues. I already admitted that. Let's get over it. But I was thinking because, like, we sometimes, even people who don't have mommy issues, have a hard time dating. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to add all of these issues on, and now my mother, I'm bringing that to the situation. I was just wondering, like, how do they do it? Like you're dating and you got this guy over here, and he wants to love you in a particular way, and he wants to give you a safe space, but it can't happen because you haven't dealt with your own issues yet.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, sometimes we project the way that we were. I think they say like the ages of 8 to 12, or it's a very young age, but those are the most influential ages of your life, and that determines how you treat yourself, how you become as an individual. So sometimes, if your mother or your father didn't nurture you during that stage, then there could be an issue. So what happens is you project the issues that you have from your mother or your father onto anybody that you become in a relationship with. So even in my adulthood, I found myself just feeling like everybody would eventually leave me and nobody really cared because I didn't have that foundation coming up. So I think sometimes, it takes a lot, but if you really want to be there for somebody, sometimes you just constantly have to reassure them, like, hey, I'm not that person. I'm not what happened to you. I'm not your past. I'm here now, and I'm here to stay. But I think also we as victims, or we who go through these things, we have to be mindful that, like, you can only put somebody through so much. People sometimes only have a certain level of patience, so we have to be, mindful and seek to grow and seek to be mature in the people that we are dating to make it kind of easier for them.
And see, we're all going through this journey in life. Everybody has their own individual journey, and like maybe God gives us who we can bear, but you don't have to deal with the other person's bearing. You only have to deal with your own. And so I was just curious. It's like I wanted to get in her dating life, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, I wanted to know.
Nothing much, nothing there. I'm good.
So I want to talk to you now because, like, in the future, you're going to be dating someone. She's going to get married. We speaking life into it. You're going to have all of these things going on. What things are you doing right now to learn the skills to not pass your issues down to your child?
Yes.
And because that's what happens. Is
right.
Like,
so that's why I'm really, like, it's so weird because I'm surrounded by young people, or people my age. I'm 31. I'll be 32 this year. I'm surrounded by people my age who have families. And for so long, I was just kind of envious. Like, hey, they got a family, and I know that I'm a great mother. Why don't I have this? But now I say, God bless you and your children, and I'm thankful that I don't, because what happens is you have to get to, and you have to seek to always get to a different level of wholeness so that you can be a better parent to your child, but not only that, a better wife to your husband. So I think for me, I just consistently walk this healing journey. So I make sure every day that I'm consistently putting myself in an environment where I can heal from the things that I need to heal from, and consistently bettering myself so that when my husband do come, I can make sure I'm not, nagging or complaining, or when my child does. Because sometimes I see parents and they're just like, you getting on my nerves, and the first thing I think is, they didn't ask you. They didn't ask to be here. So I just always try to work on my patience. I always just try to be mindful of the things that I'm working on, so that when I have my child, I can make sure that I'm doing that I'm as whole as I possibly can be at that moment to be a whole parent.
And see, I always tell people, like, I have to pack my patience because it's not always packed. Sometimes, the the luggage has been left open and the patience has gone away. But I always try to remember, and I think my friend's mother used to tell me, like, put it in your pocket. See, if you tell yourself that you have to put your patience in your pocket, then you're carrying it with you all the time. And in those moments, like, I just put my hands in my pockets, like, whoo, this child is driving me crazy, because I never want to be like, and not that, like, Mom, you didn't do this. Well, maybe you did. I might have a recall right now. But, you know, like, just yelling at them constantly because life is happening to me. Like, life, you know, I'm just going through things in life. And sometimes your kids don't realize that you're going through life. They haven't matured enough to realize that mommy has issues, too. And so I wanted to find out from you, is like, speaking to a mother right now whose daughter may be developing some mommy issues. Like, you know, you can read your child and you can know, or the mother whose daughter may have already told her something is going on and she's not sure how to address it. What are you saying to that mother right now?
Well, first thing I think is mindfulness. So you have to, as a mother, you definitely have to be mindful. You have to be mindful of your child. You have to be mindful of the things that you're doing. And I feel like, I'm not sure for all mothers, but I feel like sometimes, like, when you say something to your child, you immediately know, like, I shouldn't have said that, or I should go apologize, or I should tell her, look, mommy, sorry. So I think being mindful, and then even when you are screaming, or when you do make those mistakes, because we're human and we're prone to errors, when you do, saying, hey, mommy, sorry, you know, apologizing, showing your child that to own up to your, you know, your mistakes is good. So, and I also feel, as a parent, you know your child. So you know whether your child will tell a small white lie or a big lie. You know the personality of your child. So if your child is saying something and you know in your gut, like, my child will not lie about this, then you believe your child. Like, ultimately, parents are to protect their children. That's the only form of protection that a child has, is her parents. So I would just encourage all mothers, don't fail your child in protecting them, because when you do, then they grow up with issues. They don't feel like anybody will protect them, anybody will be there for them, and then they're afraid, you know, to connect with people.
Or at least on another road where they could just be too open because they want to receive that love. See, I think people only think of it in girls having daddy issues. We don't think of it on a broader level of our sons have issues with their fathers, our sons have issues with our mothers, and our daughters have issues with mothers as well. And so when we start exploring and taking the opportunity to, you know, parent the whole child and not just one aspect of it, I think we open up the doors for more conversations and to realize that, hey, I don't want you to have any issues with me as an adult. And so I know I've had plenty of conversations with my kids, like, hey, you can feel free to say whatever it is you want to say. Here's your opportunity. You might get once a week. Mommy's head hurts. I can only handle so much. And so I'm just appreciative of people like you who go out into the community and who really dig deep and allow yourself to be seen so that other people can be seen as well. All right, so what do you want the biggest takeaway to be from I'm Not the Only One? Like, what is, if you could think of what you wanted people to take away from it, what is one of the biggest things you're like, hey, when you attend, I want you to walk away with this?
Well, each session has a different topic, but at the end of the day, I just want you to know that you're not the only one. You're not. The first one was, I'm not the only one dealing with depression. The second was, I'm not the only one with mommy issues. This one is, I'm not the only one who doesn't know. But I just, like, I want everybody to know, like, you're not the only one, regardless of what it was. You know, if you were raped, you're not the only one that was raped. If you dealt with domestic violence, you're not the only one who dealt with that. But I just want you to know that you're not the only one. There are other people. And the more that you open up yourself and put yourself in positive environments, it is something that you can heal from. And I think a lot of times, because people think they are the only one and they wear a mask, they tend to hide, you know, their secrets, or, hey, this stays back there, or we keep that locked up, we don't talk about that. Or a lot of us grew up in homes where it was like, what happens in this house stays in this house. So, you know, we've hid that part of ourselves. But I want to let people know, like, there is freedom on the other side of whatever that you have been through. So once you truly, you know, expose that, then you can start to work on it and heal from it. So I truly just want people to know that you're not the only one. There are other people that have been through what you have been through. And then on top of that, there are people who have the tools to help you because they have successfully gotten through it. And that doesn't mean that it won't ever bother you. It doesn't mean that you'll forget it tomorrow, but it does mean that you can operate with it better and you can reach a place of healing.
And so I took that away from the event.
Okay.
And
so that's good. So it's working.
You mentioned a couple projects that you were working on. So you planning on this conference, September, October. I'm going to give it to you October.
Okay,
I'm going to speak like October to give you some time to take off the recoup. Okay. That's all self-caring. You done poured into these 3 events. And I'm telling you guys, these were, it was an amazing opportunity to get together with other women and just discuss these issues. And I'm sure you poured out a lot. I felt that they oof, you just let it all go. And so you have the conference coming up. You have a book coming out. And so what else is on your plate?
That's hard for right now. That's all,
right. Because I'm what else? What else so I can be there? Yeah. So do you have a name for the conference yet, or are we just waiting?
Yeah. So the conference will be called #ISurvive. So it'll be #ISurvive, and then the name of the book is #ISurvive. So it'll be Karla's Journey presents #ISurvive Women's Conference.
I'm so excited.
And the book will be available to the conference. So the events that I have had these last 3 months, they have been completely free. And all you have to do is register online. Even for the one tomorrow, it's completely free. So you just register online, and I give out gifts and things of that nature. But the conference, there will be a cost.
I don't blame you, girl. You about to give us all these nuggets. They can't keep being for free.
And a lot of people had asked me, because at my events, I bring in professional people, licensed people. So a lot of people would say, why are you doing this for free? And I just truly feel like I want to give people hope and healing, and they shouldn't have to pay for that. So that's what I have done for these last 3 events. And I'm a nonprofit. I'm very small, so I do this out of my pocket, but that's how big my heart is. I want to help people. So like I said, the conference, I have tomorrow's event, and then I have the conference coming up, which is something that, will take some time to work on. And then, whatever, I also mentor people. So I do mentorship, and I just connect with people and just try to help them identify, what's holding them back, and help them get past that, and to just use my transparency to bring healing to their lives.
I'm very happy that we met. I'm glad that you joined us today. It was a great experience meeting. When I first walked in the room, like I told you, I was like, this is not what I thought it was. But it was just great to be around people who, like I said, you can tell your heart that you just wanted us to open up and to have the opportunity to speak and to hear from other people and to know that we weren't the only one. I think a lot of times we get caught up because we do think we're the only one. And so how can people connect with you? Give us your information.
Okay, so Karla's Journey. Karla's Journey is on Facebook at karlasjourney.org. Karla's Journey is also on Instagram at Karla's Journey. I am Karla Kennedy, so I am also on Facebook as Karla Kennedy. And also I have a website, which is karlasjourney.org, and you can go on there. And if you heard about the event for tomorrow, if you go on the website under the events tab, you can actually register for the event if that's something that you would like to come to. I'm asking for registration so I know how many gifts to have for people. But so karlasjourney.org. Website karlasjourney.org on Facebook, and then at Karla's Journey on Instagram.
Okay, so you guys heard her, because it is tomorrow, Saturday, July 28th. I don't know why I thought I forgot.
Yes, it is tomorrow, Saturday, July 28th from 12. Tomorrow, July 28th from 12 to 2:30 at Cleveland Heights Library, and the address for that is 2345 Lee Road. And I'm not the only one who doesn't know.
Oh, okay. And see, Robin, honey, she gonna get you some money. She said, can people donate financially if they want to help you assist in your cause? Do you have any way for that?
They can't. So I have a personal cash app, but I don't have I am a 501c3 though, but I don't have
we need to get you a PayPal. I don't know. We're about to set her up here, y'all, because we can't have her out here doing everything for free. But Karla, I just wanted to thank you for coming in today and for sharing your transparency and being somebody in our community who's not afraid to tell their stories. Like, you guys know, I love to tell the stories and hear the stories about what's going on in our community so that we can help, encourage, inspire, and keep each other motivated, because you never know, your story may help the next person become the next bigger person, and their story may go on. Hey, hotties, I want to leave you guys with this thought, that there is power in your story. Whatever your story may be, it holds the key to helping somebody else. So don't be afraid to tell that story. Don't be afraid to relax, relate, and release. Guess what, hotties? You've been tuned in and you've been elevated. Talk to you soon.